Hello students. Today we have to go through the discussion on the concept of the parliamentary form of government. As you know, India has a parliamentary form of government stated by the constitution. Thus it has three main organs of operations and governance. We know it as legislature, executive and judiciary. These three different organs have their different tasks to perform. In the nutshell, we know that legislative body makes the laws, executive body executes the laws and holds the administration, whereas the judiciary protects the laws whenever breached either by the citizen or by the state. Except judiciary, both the organs are answerable for their functions. Students, the base question is, why do we need the parliamentary form of government? You know that our country has the vast extent of diversities as per the region, religion, language, caste, creed, races, etc. So, in our country, all the citizens have their own opinions according to diversities. In this prospect, it is not possible for all the citizens to participate in governance directly or individually. On this need, the constitution makers derived the concept of parliamentary form of government. This parliamentary system has been adopted from Britain as it was existing before the independence of India. In this type of government, the citizen of the country has the right to elect their representative who has to represent in the governance on behalf of the people. Now, students, we have to go on its key features. As you know, in our country, two levels of government functions, first at the central level, second at the state level. One more level of government has been introduced since 1995, which is considered as local level or municipal corporation. These all levels derive the concept of three-tier government due to execute controlling over all people of the country. But basically, we have to discuss about two levels of government which are called Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. Students, Lok Sabha is also known as the House of People or lower house. The upper house of the Lok Sabha is called Rajya Sabha. In the Lok Sabha, members are elected directly by the people through election. There are 552 parliamentary or Lok Sabha constituencies in our country. Out of this, 530 representatives are elected directly by the people from different states. 20 members are elected by the people of union territories, whereas president can nominate two members from Anglo-Indian community. This composition secures majority for ruling the country. Thus, the Lok Sabha serves 5 years of tenure. Whether any crisis exists, the Lok Sabha gets dissolved before completing the term. Then the president calls for fresh election. Now, students, I will narrate briefly about the formation of government. The government is formed by the largest party who qualifies the majority test, while the minority party holds the opposition. In the parliamentary system, ruling and opposition both are required because of diverse opinion of people. When any of the party can't seek the clear majority, they go through to join hands with other political parties to get clear majority. Such type of government is called coalition government. The members of the Lok Sabha elect a speaker who presides over the session and meetings. Now, I will focus on the upper house, which is called Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha comprises of 250 members who are not directly elected by the people. 12 members out of 250 are distinguished in the fields of art, literature, science and social services, nominated by the president. Rest 238 members are elected by the members of the state legislature and an electoral college of the union territories. The Rajya Sabha is the permanent house. It is never dissolved. The members of this house serve for 6 years and one third of its members get retired every after 2 years. This house is headed by the vice president who is designated as ex officio chairperson. The members of this house also elect a deputy chairperson who presides over the meetings in absence of the chairperson. Now we have to go through the different functions of the parliament. Students, there are different functions executed by the parliament are legislative and executive functions. In legislative functions, Lok Sabha prepares the laws on the different bills which are debated during the session after putting signature along with seal by the president. The bill becomes in the form of law because the Lok Sabha is the real executive, so it has the power to take sole decision on the financial matters. All the financial matters should not be discussed and authority to amend into other houses. In this context, the Lok Sabha secures supremacy from Rajya Sabha. The finance minister of the Lok Sabha has the power to introduce any new taxes and provisions for the annual budget. Thereafter, the provisions of the budget has been approved by the two houses for implementation. In addition to these functions, the Lok Sabha performs electoral functions and functions controlling on executives. These all functions are jointly conducted by the members of Lok Sabha who holds the different portfolios like finance, petroleum, electricity, home affairs, foreign affairs, communication, etc. These portfolios are given in the charge of cabinet ministers separately who are accountable directly to the Prime Minister. This group is called Council of Ministers. According to the portfolios, the members of cabinet ministers can be varied, whereas the Prime Minister can hold the change any of the portfolios whether required. The cabinet along with the Prime Minister works as a team on the principle of collective responsibility. They are jointly responsible to the parliament for taking decisions. Whether any crisis occurs due to unfavorable functioning, the entire ministry gets liable to resign on the basis of collective responsibility. Student, it is already clear that in parliamentary form of government, different functions are conducted by different organs to make transparency and for getting utmost goal. For this concept, the idea of supremacy is required. As we know, the Lok Sabha in the center is the real executive body who has the liability to govern the state. On this, the union executive consists of president, Vice President, Prime Minister, and the Council of Ministers, who are responsible for their burden of liabilities. The President is the official head of the state. All the laws and mandates are issued after his or her signature, which are discussed in the lower house and similarly recommended by the upper house. So, the president of the state is subjected as nominal head, whereas the prime minister and his council of ministers have the actual powers to govern the state. Through the president is the nominal head, but certain legislative and executive powers are being vested in him. Hence, the legislative powers of the president are: he or she summons and prorogues or ends all the sessions of the parliament and addresses the first session. He or she nominates members to the parliament. Third, he or she can dissolve the parliament on the advice of prime minister. Fourth, bill can become laws only after the president's assent. 5. A money bill requires the president's permission before it can be introduced. On money bill, the president has not any authority to make any amendments. 6. The president calls a joint session of two houses to solve any disagreement over a bill. 7th is when the parliament is not in session and it is important for the government to take crucial decisions or for passing of laws, the president has the power to issue special laws or ordinance. These laws or ordinances has to be approved by the parliament once the session begins. Similarly, the president has some executive powers which acclaims the president as the supreme commander of the state. First is, all executive powers of the state are vested in the president. Second, the president appoints the prime minister, the central council of ministers on the advice of prime minister, judges of supreme court, high court, and governors of the states. Third point is, the president is the supreme commander of defense and appoints all army, navy, and air chiefs. Fourth point, the president can pardon or reduce the death sentence against any person issued by the court. Fifth, he or she appoints the election commissioner, comptroller, and auditor general. Sixth, he or she also looks after the administration of the union territories. Seventh, in any crisis, emergency, or external aggression, he or she has the power to suspend all ministerial and administrative powers and solely control all affairs of the state. The vice president seeks all authorities in the absence of the president and executes the power accordingly. Now, students, I will state the functions of the prime minister. As you know, the prime minister is the real executive and holds all the powers to govern during the time of peace. In this prospect, prime minister conducts some basic functions which I am going to list out. First is, after the election, he or she selects the members of the council of ministers, has to represent a president for appointment. He or she allocates the portfolios to the cabinet and council of ministers regarding to govern all functions. Third is, he or she presides over the meetings of the Council of Ministers time to time and coordinates the working. Fourth, he or she is the chairperson of Planning Commission and also the supreme decision maker in the ministry. Fifth is he or she is the link between the president and the council of ministers and communicates all the decisions relating to administration and proposals for legislation of the state. Sixth is during any emergency or natural calamities, he or she opens the relief fund account to fight against such calamities. Seventh, he or she addresses the nation at national or international level on the issue of national importance. Students, one more important aspect is there about the division of powers, which assures smooth and good governance in the parliamentary system. Thus, our country has the federal form of government which addresses the required powers to different organs and at various levels. In India, the structure of government is basically at two levels as central level and the state level. In accordance to this, the constitution has divided the subjects for law making in separate jurisdictions. Those are mentioned in three lists are called union list, state list and concurrent list. In the union list, the subjects are related to defense, banking and finance, communication, foreign affairs on which union has the power to function. Whereas in the state list, the functions are related to specific states which cannot be implemented in other state jurisdiction. These functions are associated with revenue, administration, local problems, and about natural calamities. Similarly, in the concurrent list, state and union jointly perform the tasks under the guidance of the union. Students, this was all about the chapter. Now go through its exercise and question answers.